with Chobot. We're talking Game of Thrones, and OK Go is here. Yeah! And this is Nerdist News. OK Go will be back in a second, but first, it is February, which means winter is almost over, but also winter is still coming. That's right, Game of Thrones is back in April, and to get us somehow even more pumped for season 6, HBO has released 20 new photos from the upcoming eps. Let's break some of them down, the good ones. And be warned, we are real good with these theories, real good. So if we're right, you could consider any of these spoilers. First up, Theon and Sansa Stark. Although he was initially her savior intended last season, it looks like Sansa's in the power position now, as the completely broken, dickless dude likely won't be much of a leader in this ongoing escape. Plus, Sansa herself, Sophie Turner, said that this will be a big season for her, with the young Stark gaining some much-needed agency, so yep, looks like Sansa's the girl boss now. But speaking of Greyjoys, guess who's back? Back again. Yara's back! With the Ironborn's return, it feels safe to assume we're going to see the Kingsmoot from the books, otherwise known as how House Greyjoy picks out who's in charge. But those current bosses of Westeros, the Lannisters, look like they're gonna continue to have karma kick them in the ass throughout season 6. If you were wondering whether Marcella Baratheon somehow survived that poisonous smooch last season, these photos, one of her covered in a sheet and another of her corpse in front of her uncle, dad, and her brother cousin King Tommen, we're gonna go ahead and say, nope, she's dead. And I'm thinking Cersei probably won't take it too kindly to this development after all she's been through with the Sparrows, but this shot of the Nurse Ratched of Westeros, Septa Unella, shows her giving some book learning to Marjorie Tyrell, so we're thinking those religious zealots aren't quite done in King's Landing either. Natalie Dormer herself told us that we'd see Marjorie do whatever it takes to get out of her cell. Could that include joining the Sparrows and becoming a crazy holy lady herself? I don't know. Meanwhile, far away in the exotic land of Meereen, Tyrion is apparently still growing out that Jesus beard and hanging out with his buddy Varys, while Missandei stares into the middle distance, missing her own bestie Daenerys, who is in dire need of some conditioner while she roams around with some maybe friendly, maybe not Dothraki, none of which bodes well for Meereen with Dany gone. How will her disappearance affect the civil war that's already brewing? Will they follow her friends while she's MIA? And will Dany be able to convince the Dothraki that she's a true Khaleesi? Little Arya is on the struggle bus too, still as blind as she was at the end of last season, seemingly begging for money on the street. Or maybe she just finished a bowl of cereal. It's really kind of hard to say, but readers know the why. Spoiler! It's a result of her training at the House of Black and White, but one thing we're really hoping to see, and this is a light spoiler too, so heads up, some warg action from Arya this season. Get in that wolf, girl! It's time! Meanwhile, the Wall is seeing some shakeups. Samwell and his little family are on a boat to Old Town, and Gilly is looking none too pleased. And oh look, it's Melisandre just riding around at Castle Black and absolutely not preparing to resurrect Jon Snow at all. Also, come on! Please don't make us wait all season for this to happen. We know it's gonna happen, so just do it! And finally, the most intriguing photo of the whole batch, the return of Bran Stark. And he's standing? We can confirm. This shot comes from inside Bran's brain as he's standing alongside his very own Dumbledore, the three-eyed raven, and more than likely walking around in a vision of Westeros' past. This could even be that rumored flashback to the Tower of Joy where Ned Stark almost definitely found baby Jon Snow in the arms of his dying sister. Whoo boy, we are in for a lot next season. But what do you guys think? What you're seeing of season 6 so far? What are some moments you absolutely need to see this year? Let's discuss. And it's Friday, so let's jump into your best worst comment of the week with Damian Kulash and Tim Nordwin from OK Go. Yeah. Guys, holy crap, congrats on the new video.
Thank you.
I definitely want to ask you questions about that in just a second, but we have pressing matters to attend to first. On our new Star Trek showrunner special report this week, the Cult of Pop called out B-Comp, our in-house Star Trek expert, by saying, your resident Trekker is wearing a Star Wars shirt. Cred lost. Still excited for the new series, though. How would you guys like to respond to that?
Tim.
Can you believe it?
Tim.
Yeah.
Cred lost.
Oh.
You're out.
Get out, Tim!
You're
Get out!
Man.
Cred lost.
It's the old talk about Star Trek, wear Star Wars merchandise dilemma.
Can't we all just get along, is how I feel.
Yeah.
I agree with you. So how many times did you guys have to clean the plane in between each take with the paint? Because, for those that haven't seen it, at the end, there's paint that goes everywhere, and you guys get to pop these paint balloons, and it's really awesome, and I'm kind of jealous.
We had to clean it up after each take. So,
Yeah.
so after each flight, so it was 8 takes during the take week, and then there was a bunch of rehearsal the week before. So it's probably 15 or 20 full cleans. The problem is that it was in October, November in Moscow, or outside of Moscow, so it was so cold that the plane didn't dry in between. If anything, the water would just freeze.
Yeah.
So that floor that we had slightly padded the floor underneath that rug so that if we landed really hard, we wouldn't kill ourselves. And so there was a lot there's a lot to suck up the moisture. So the paint balloons spray everywhere, and then we would just spray down the inside of the plane as soon as we got down. But it meant that the floor was always soaking wet. Yeah, it was really.
And so soaking wet with extremely cold water.
You'll notice in the middle of the video, our two flight attendants are sitting on the ground. If you look, they're actually sitting on flight magazines because every time they had to sit there, like their whole butts would just get soaked.
Well, I've got to ask you guys a few more questions about this. Do you mind sticking around for a bit?
Not at all.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, go everybody. Woo!